Welcome to another fine edition of In Front of the Scenes. My name is Kevin from Points Cobra, where I come out from behind the scenes to chat with clients about just them and what they've got going on and all that right now. And fine is actually a perfect word for this guest because he's the frontman of the so-called world's finest pop group, Modesty Blaise, out of Bristol in the UK, Jonny Collins. So Jonny, thank you for doing that first of all. And before we get into it, as is, and I guess will be tradition here on In Front of the Scenes, just quickly introduce the other members of the band, the guys not with us today, and just briefly run that down.
Well, hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
David W. Brown is my bass player.
Okay.
He's notoriously tall, and we've been. I don't think I've made any music that isn't with Dave.
How tall is Dave?
I think it varies depending upon the heels, but he's at least 6'4".
Oh, okay, that is tall.
That may not be tall where you are.
No, that's tall, and especially with me being like 5'8", that's tall. You're good. You're good there, man. Dave is tall.
It's taller than Bill Wyman. Let's just put it that way. And Gregory Jones has been here nearly as long. He is a noted guitarist and multi-instrumentalist. Just released his own solo album, which is pretty fab. And we have Mark Bradley, who is drummer extraordinaire, proper drummer, actually, rather than just somebody who tries to drown you out. And we have Alastair Jenkins, who is, again, a multi-instrumentalist, can turn his hand to virtually everything, and has a number of other groups and irons in the fire. And Roger Huckle, who's fiddle player and everything, orchestral conductor. Roger's got an orchestra, and
wow,
which is always useful having an orchestra, actually.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
And so yeah, Roger has a proper orchestra.
Wow. Have you guys made use of Roger's proper orchestra in Modesty Blaise? Right, like even just live. Oh yeah, of course, because it does that. It's a good.
Live,
not live. Oh.
Every now and then we keep on talking about it, but should we do? Why don't we do this? And in fact, actually, it's the truth be told, it's probably Roger that's more enthusiastic about it than I am. And it's not that I wouldn't want to do it. It's just that I know that it's not going to pay.
Right. That's
no
fair.
way to do it at cost neutral.
Okay. Cool. So that's the band. That's your other people, good people right there. And so shout out as always to the other members. I do want to very quickly before we get into it, Jonny, as we talked about before we started recording, just shout out your setup. That chair, by the way, looks immensely. Is that a leather chair? What is that? That looks
this is
beautifully comfortable and dapper.
Yeah, this is an Eames chair.
And what is an Eames chair?
Charles Eames, the designer.
Oh, okay. That's out of my world, man. I'm not fashionable. I have no idea. I have a gaming chair.
Yeah, it's a proper Eames chair. So I don't know. I very much like my mid 20th century design. So,
no, it's good. You got the chair looks good. I mean, the guitar on the side there, obviously the map wallpaper. It's a regal setup. Like you just look like a man about the world. So I dig it, dude.
I need to keep on checking what's going on here between Bristol and Canada, you see, because
that's right. There's a gigantic ocean there. That's of course that separates us.
It's the Bay of Fundy that I keep on looking at. You see.
Oh, I used to when I lived on the east coast of Canada. I lived right below it because the province of Nova Scotia, which is right below the Bay, and I lived in New Brunswick, which is the one above it. So I'm well versed in the Bay of Fundy.
You know that the Bay of Fundy has the largest tidal.
That's right.
In the world.
Largest tidal bores in the world. You got it. You can.
Is here in Bristol.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we've got the second largest, and we know that we've got the second largest, but we know that the number one is the Bay of Fundy. The only thing anybody knows in Bristol about marine geography.
Interesting. Look at that. It's a small world. A small world. That's interesting. I actually didn't know that. So thank you for tipping me off to Bristol's runner-up.
Couldn't tell you where the third is, Kevin. Couldn't tell you where the third is.
Oh, neither could I. The ocean's a hell of a thing, man. I'll tell you, Jonny. The ocean is it's a wild world we live in. All right. So So Modesty Blaise, you guys bill yourselves as the world's finest pop group, which I love, by the way. I do. Now, I wanted to ask, like, the origin of that. Like, is it ironic in a sense because the band has been around for a long time? The history is, I don't want to say like tumultuous, but there have been some changes, and you kind of don't take yourselves too seriously. You're very fun, very irreverent. So is it ironic in that sense that you're the world's finest pop group?
You know what? There is a theory behind this, and the key word in that is pop, because there's an opposition between pop and rock music, and we're getting onto a theory here.
No, go for it.
It's really quite basic, and it's that rock music is listened to by blokes, and they're concerned with virtuosity and various stuff like pop music's listened to by girls. And you know what? The girls are always right.
They tend to be. God love them. They do tend to be the voices of reason and correct us.
They're always right. You know, it's the girls who were interested in the Beatles. The girls were interested in Mark Bolan and T-Rex. The pop music, which then takes time for everybody to realize, actually, that stuff was good. So the pop part is the really important bit of that sentence.
Okay, gotcha.
And seriousness and authenticity in pop and rock is, I think, a massive trap for an awful lot of people. I rage against it. You know, to a certain extent, it comes back to that whole original idea of the Beatles being irreverent in their interviews, and you know, Hard Day's Night and joking with people and stuff, which was something that was not seen before. That was not seen before. You know, Elvis appearing in a tux with a hound dog we might take that as being funny. I mean, it definitively is not.
Right.
But it, you know, rock music, serious; pop music, less serious, self-deprecating, less self-important. Although I would argue that the 3 minutes of the perfect pop song is a higher artistic endeavor or quest than any other.
It's probably just because when we think of pop, of course, its own genre really these days, but short for popular music. And to have written not only a song that, you know, you think is good and has artistic value and stuff, but that works, that people like and it's successful, that's pop. So like to have hit whatever, you know, is in there that makes it popular. I think I know what you're saying, whereas it really is kind of the pinnacle, because it's not just about you and your tastes. It also has brought other people's tastes into it. So no, I get that.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely. I mean, it is essential, much as we can go back and look to previous times to that. It's essentially the dominant, along with film, the dominant art form of the 20th century. And obviously it's got this long tail that is now, remember when rock and roll came in, nobody thought it was going to last more than three years, which is how come all the Motown artists were sent to Motown Charm School to teach them how to do cabaret, because that's what they thought was coming. This is how come Elvis and everybody got into films as soon as possible, because rock and roll ain't going to last. Well, it kind of did. And, you know, it's the dominant art form, along with cinema. But I think that we can look back and see these are some of the most significant works of art of the 20th century. Not just Beatles, but obviously all sorts of pop songs that we all know. I would love to think of us in that tradition. Whether we ever achieve that, I think, is probably a moot point.
No, for sure. And achieving it, like, I mean, you can't make yourself famous or rich or anything like that, but you can do what you want to do kind of with artistic integrity and acknowledging like your influences and stuff like that. And if you guys are happy with that at the end of the day, that's success, honestly. So if Modesty Blaise is doing what Modesty Blaise wants to do, to me, you guys are successful, and you make enjoyable music. And I wanted to take it back to when you guys started off. Obviously, it was kind of like the early to mid '90s that you first got going in that incarnation. And so with a bit of I suppose a bit of a break in between, you guys have been around for 30 years now. And a quote that you enjoyed so much about the band that you guys put on a t-shirt was "Post-punk New Seekers."
That
So
was
I want to
yeah, that
so I
was
want to
recent. That was quite recent. That came from
Yeah.
the last album.
Yeah, did it, and that's what's so funny to me, because I listen to your discography. I mean, you guys have 3 full lengths and some other singles, and again, music is very subjective, so it's not that it's wrong, but I don't, especially with the Modesty Blaise, your most recent album, hear really any post punk. Like, so I wonder, like, it's kind of neat that that's what that reviewer, and shout out to them. Who was it that coined that term for you guys?
I don't quite recall.
That's all right. We'll get back to it. We'll put them on.
From the last album. I think the again to kind of like deconstruct that phrase. It's the words "punk" and "new seekers" being in the same sentence that makes it so great.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because the New Seekers were about as soft as you could get, and obviously punk. Which, of course, has a different meaning on this side of the Atlantic to that side of the Atlantic. But yeah, I would definitely think of us as being post-punk, actually. And live, we tended to do one of two things. We tended to try and do the things with the strings and the horns, but also without that, we're a guitar garage band.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. So I guess it's more attitude, I guess, than sound. I thought I like that. Okay, cool. And so with the first full, I had Modern Guitarist with Amplification, and then you had Melancholia, which is in 2001, and from there it was 20 years in between releases, and then it was the Modesty Blaise. So you're kind of mostly self-titled effort that came out back in 2021. I guess in those 20 intervening years, what was going on with you guys? Were you kind of totally like broken up? Were you just largely inactive? What was the scoop there?
I never thought of it as being a break.
No.
I always thought of it as being something that I'm working towards. What happened was, after Melancholia, we toured extensively, and we toured in mainland Europe quite a lot for a couple of years. And we came around to starting to record the follow-up, which was always going to be called the Modesty Blaise. The third album was always going to be called the Modesty Blaise. The third Velvet Underground album was called the Velvet Underground. So
I see. Okay.
It was always going to be called that. And I had this idea after Melancholia. I thought I had done everything that I possibly could. If you've listened to any of it, you know that it's got so much in it. And the way I describe it is that I don't just throw the kitchen sink in to what I'm recording. I break in next door, rip their kitchen sink out, and throw that in as well. So after Melancholia, I thought, I can't do anymore. And it gradually came around, oh, yes, of course I can do more. And then the idea came about with the Modesty Blaise that I was going to try and make something that was a little bit more direct than Melancholia was. And we started doing rhythm tracks, and the band that we had at the time split up at the end of that tour. A couple of people went their own, entirely amicably for once, went their own ways. And the problem we always had was with drummers. We couldn't find, ironically, I know loads of drummers now, but at the time we had a lot of trouble finding anybody we liked working with until we found Mark. And then it just kind of fell apart. And I wasn't in the best place. And if, you know how life happens and things get in the way. And I never thought that, we're taking a break from this. I always thought of us as being current. I was wrong, but But there you go. And then actually, when you want to work with specific people, you then have to fit in with their time scales as well. So things become longer and longer and longer. Mm-hmm. The same thing is happening now. I'm trying to get things going again. And the very same thing is happening because I had to take a break. So, yeah.
It's life. I get it.
Sorry?
It's life. It's just, things, people get busy and things get in the way. It's not it's not even a conscious thing. It's just how it is. It is what it is, Yeah. So I get that. So, okay. So for the current lineup that you talked about, some of the member switches, you guys that are in the band right now, that's been the group since when? Like, how long has this lineup been intact?
That's been a while now, actually. That's a good 10 years, I think.
Oh, good. Okay.
With the addition of Roger. Roger, who plays the violin, is just a great friend of mine. I work with his orchestra as well. I go and we did he did a show this week.
Oh, good. Okay.
And I, helped with stage management and various things like that. And he, that's his employment, and so I helped with that. So he's working regularly.
Good.
Next
okay.
week it's Vivaldi. That sort of thing. So with the addition of Roger, it's probably been around for about 10 years now. Not that it's very difficult to be in Modesty Blaise because you don't do anything.
That's there is a quote, I think, on the band's official website, which is modestyblaise.net, that you guys do call yourself the least hardest working band in show business or something along those lines. So
just
again, very tongue in cheek. Yeah,
in opposition to James Brown being the hardest working man in show business, we're definitely the least hard working. It's very easy to be in this band.
There you go.
Really, we don't do a great job. I've got the stirrings of some idea that I might want to go and play again soon. So
there you go. You do stuff. You'll do stuff, and you guys have done stuff. So no worries there.
Difficulty, Kevin, in that there's not a great deal of an audience for us in the UK.
Yeah, that actually is a perfect segue, Johnny. I'm going to use that right now because when you guys kind of came back to release the Modesty Blaise, you signed with the German label Lo-Fi Disco, and I know that you had worked with German label before, and you guys have always, you're like my man David Hasselhoff. You've always been big in Germany. So what is it about Germany that does so well for Modesty Blaise, do you think?
I'll tell you that there's a significant difference in attitude, and I've thought about this an awful lot. It's not just Germany, Spain as well, Scandinavia. It used to be Japan, but that kind of fell off. It used to be Japan for everybody, but it kind of fell off. If I want to get a record played on national radio here, I probably need a lot of luck, or I need a record plugger and I need some kind of structure and all sorts of stuff like that. If I want to get a record played on the national radio in Germany, I send it to them. And it seems to me that the UK music industry is quite advanced in that there are a lot of intermediaries along the steps, whereas in some other countries it isn't. I'm not saying it's less advanced. I mean, it's certainly my preference. The UK music industry is fashion based, and when we released the Christmas single, I was on national radio in Germany, and I couldn't get a sniff of that here. No chance.
That is good. I was going to say they did an "I'll Be Home for Christmas" cover for a couple of years ago, or it was last year, 2022, right?
Yeah, cover.
That's right.
Cover.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. The title. Yeah. Okay. Go. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So it's okay. So you think it's just more of a, I don't know if bureaucracy is the right word, but there are less steps in Germany to get that exposure, you think? So that would be part of it.
I think it's structural. Yeah, I do. But you can tell from how we've spoken already that I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, now the sound of Modesty Blaise, kind of the avant-pop as you're called, like very kind of indie poppy, is that locally in Germany? Is there a good scene for that, or do you think part of the reason that you stand out there is because you are different and people gravitate towards that?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I don't think I'm making indie pop. I don't think I'm doing anything like that. I think I'm making massive, great hit 3-minute singles.
All right.
In the classic tradition. The fact
Yeah.
that nobody else does is not right. That's how I hear them.
Okay.
You know,
Now-
I hear the Burt Bacharach bits. I hear the Beach Boys bits. I hear the Byrds bits. I hear all of those things. The fact that nobody else does is might well be my concern, but it's certainly not anything I can do anything about.
No, that's exactly. It's subjective. And okay, so you would use Modesty Blaise. You would say pop, like just the word. You think the spirit of pop is fair, but the indie part of it or whatever other part is just that's other people. That's not how you.
Well, I think there's a massive difficulty with that because I was around when indie was invented. And, it was simply that in the music press in the UK, we had a chart for records and we had a chart for independent releases. And those and the definition of an indie record was a record that was released on a label that didn't have major distribution. So it had distribution by other means, even if it's people driving around in a car out of their boot and giving it to record shops. That's what indie was. It almost immediately got messed up by the major labels using indie as a term and setting up pseudo indie labels. So the Jam had their own label, and everybody had their own label, and it still went through the same thing, but it got them into the indie charts as well, which then meant that there was a credibility attached to it.
Yeah, much like pop indie did become its own genre, and you're right about like the imprint labels that artists would get to release music kind of like on their own, but through the majors, so it would have distorted a bit. Okay, I actually think in listening to the Modesty Blaise compared to Melancholia and Modern Guitars with Amplification, it's a much to me more upbeat record. Like just sound wise, I feel like the first two were a little bit. I don't know if dark is the right word, but a little bit more subdued. Whereas the Modesty Blaise is just fun and happy. Now, being that you had 20 years in between albums and some changes and whatnot, was that a conscious, I'm just so excited to be doing this again, let's make something happy, or was that just, it's been 20 years, that's normal, things change?
Interesting. I'm always interested in those kind of insights. Somebody said, oh, side one's your English side and side two's the French side. That's interesting. Is that true? And then I had to listen to it again and think, maybe you got a point. Is it more upbeat? Okay,
I think it is. It sounds a little bit more upbeat. And
the one conscious decision that I made was I tried to make it more straightforward. I tried to make it less
less avant-garde, more accessible, more poppy, if you will.
Yeah, kind of really. But the art of the 3-minute pop song is to do something that is spectacularly complex and make it sound simple. So, and we have got things on the Modesty Blaise that are very complex that do sound simple, and if in many ways I achieved that better on that album than I did on Melancholia. It has to be said that I'm still very proud of both of those first two albums.
Oh, for sure, as you should be.
So yeah, the other point being, of course, that the Modesty Blaise is digital and the other two are analog. So Melancholia is recorded on 16-track analog, which means that the drums were mixed down to 2 in order to give me, that at no point in Melancholia are the strings on anything more than 1 track. And it was, we had used all the other tracks and then put the strings on. So there's a great deal of incredibly skillful playing by incredibly skillful musicians crammed into a small studio, doing that sort of thing.
Okay, cool.
I tried to make it more straightforward. I did try to make it more tried to cut out a bit of the. Well, the Melancholy is also a song cycle, so each song is designed to end on a key or a point, so that it goes into the next song, and so the order of the tracks was set before we started recording, whereas the Modesty Blaise was more right. We got these tracks. What order should we put them in?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there was more cohesive flow before, like it was kind of almost like one giant song.
Yeah, and they're
as
linking
opposed to
songs, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Cool. So for 2024, because we're getting close. It's already almost November here. You mentioned you've got the idea for shows again. So when it comes to Modesty Blaise specifically, are you talking those shows? Are you guys planning any sort of new music or anything else looking at the coming year?
I've got a single that's ready to go. I just need to record a video.
Okay.
And then think about what we're going to do with it. It's a cover version.
Right.
First time we've done one. And then I've got something that I'm currently... when I say I'm thinking about recording it, most of the work that I do is in my head.
Okay.
And it's just a case of getting those sounds down onto a tape of some sort. So I'm nearly there with that. So I've got a single that is a summer single. That was the summer.
Yeah.
So that has an obvious time where it needs to be released. So whether we can fit those things in different places, I don't know. But yeah, mostly if I'm talking about going and playing again, it'll be me and an acoustic guitar, and whoever wants to come and play.
So will those be Jonny Collins shows, or will those be like stripped down Modesty Blaise, or like a mix?
They usually get billed as Jonny Collins of Modesty Blaise. I mean, the last thing we did was me and Roger went and did some shows in Germany, and it was just me and Roger, him playing the fiddle, and me playing. Actually, it's the truth be told, the only reason we did that was because we got. We were allowed to go on a tour of the European Space Agency, and so we tied it in. We tied it in with a few gigs in order to make it something that might be interesting. Yeah.
Okay, that's actually really cool. Interesting. Cool. Okay, well, looking forward to that then. So you're getting some new stuff out of you. What else, man? What else is going on with you? What else do you like? What do you want to talk about, Johnny? As we get ready to wrap this up, it's the floor is yours, man. Like this is as chill as it gets. How the hell are you? How are things?
That's worth addressing. We released the Christmas single.
Right.
It went really well. And then between Christmas and New Year, I was diagnosed with cancer.
Holy crap, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just... No, I wanted to find that. I'm sorry.
Completely knocked me out. Just the idea rather than anything else. And sudden waves of thinking about mortality and various stuff like that. And I was in hospital within 5 weeks, and they operated and got lots of stuff out. And that was pretty much 20 months ago now. And
wow.
And mentally, it takes a long time to get over those things.
No shit. Oh my God, that I did not realize. Wow.
And I say this simply because I received a number of pieces of advice from people that I know that have been through that sort of thing before. And one of the key ones was tell people about it. Don't bother trying to hide it. There's no issue here. You'll find that an awful lot of people have got the same sort of experiences, and that will help you. And it's absolutely true. So yeah, it's felt like a long way back from that actually. But there you go. I had a scan a couple of months back, and everything seems to be clear. So that's good, and that's great.
That's great to hear, man. Jeez, I had no idea. Well, I'm glad that all things considered, you're doing well and obviously in very good spirits. And
that's kind of why the whole thing came to a stop.
Yeah, but no, that understandable.
Yeah.
And I guess you're right. Like in the sense that whether it's just relating to people or getting it off your chest, like talking to people about these things, like is good. Like it's not a stigma to deal with health issues. Like
Oh,
it's going to
that's not.
happen to all of us at some point. So you're right, and the people you talk to are right in that regard. So geez, well
Yeah.
I'm
So,
glad there's
so that was, and probably to a certain extent is a bit of a difficult period. You go through a lot of mental changes related to that.
yeah, I bet.
And that's okay. That's an awful lot of people get through with that, and I am here because of the skill of the people that diagnosed it in the first place, and then the people that dealt with it,
Yeah.
because it was very serious. But that's why I'm here, because there are some marvelous people who are not paid enough who look after our health, and yeah, there you go. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, no, shout out to them. That there are some unbelievable people in this world for sure.
That is the thing. I do feel very grateful for it. And then, of course, you get to thinking, oh, hold on a second. I don't know how much time I've got. Am I going to waste it? What am I going to do? How am I going to do that? And I know that the key point is to do a little less thinking about it, a bit more doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to do, Kevin.
Good stuff, Johnny. Well, I'm glad to hear you're well, and you know what? Exactly. Get back out there in 2024, play your shows, write your music, live your life, because when it's our time, it's our time. Whether it's to deal with a health issue, whether it's to deal with the end. So I get you. So good, well, good. Well, listen, modestyblaise.net is the band's website. If you don't know how to spell that, they're named after the comic strip, so same deal. So Modesty, Blaise. All their stuff. The Modesty Blaise is a great fun record. The first two are solid as well. So go check them out, and everything else will be in the description of this vid. Johnny, God love you, man. You're a good dude. I appreciate you taking time, especially obviously knowing what we talked about at the end. And yeah, no, it's been nice to catch up. It's been a while, obviously, for the two of us, and I wish you the best in 2024. And thanks again, man.
It's an honor. Thank you very much. I shall go and get another cup of tea now. And as we are wont to do in England.
Yes, that's a true story. I have coffee, so we're on opposites on continents or side of the ocean, and drinks as well. So I like it.
There you go.
All right, my friend.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, you as well, Johnny. Thank you very much. Enjoy your tea.
Thank you. Bye, Kevin.